Hello, good evening and welcome once again to In the Know, brought to you by the Racing Post and Coral, the world's greatest tipping show. That's what I'm going with. I've just decided it is now. But you can decide in the comments tomorrow after we go through the Grand National card tomorrow, of course. 34 horses, 6 less than normal in the Grand National, but it doesn't make it any easier, does it? But if you want to get insight into the majority of the field and the selections from our panel, then you are in the right place. We'll be getting right stuck in to the world's greatest steeplechase very shortly indeed. We've also got 3 Grade 1s on the card as well, and a big field bumper and 2 handicaps to get excited about as well. So quite a lot to like, I reckon. On tomorrow's card at Aintree. It's been a funny old second day up in Liverpool, unless of course you're JP McManus, in which case you've probably had it right off with the treble, but at least 1 or 2 people in the Racing Post office did as well, and again, in hindsight, it seems so obvious, doesn't it? Seems so obvious, but there were really impressive stuff from John Bond, finally getting his proper trip, of course. Mystical Power battling on to give that Supreme Novices hurdle a little bit of a boost as well, and in hindsight, 13-8 for I Know the Way You're Thinking in the Kim Muir wasn't bad value after all, was it? So he absolutely dotted up in Grade 1 company. We'll go through those a little bit as well. It is live and interactive, so do like the stream if you are watching on YouTube. Hello to Offworld, to Craig Woolley, to Music Mike, to John, to Dunners, to Elliot Ryan, and to much more. Get your selections in. Ideally, like if you are. If you do fancy one tomorrow, whether it's in the National or not, I'll tell you what will be really easy if you want me to read it out, is put the name of the horse in capitals and then your reasoning afterwards, so it'll stand out to me. Of course it won't now, because you'll all do it, and it'll just be a mess of horses' names in capital letters, but hopefully we can pick a few out and give you a shout out as well. But before we get stuck into that, let's turn to my left and say hello to Paul Kealy, who, well, you've already had one winner over the national fences today, a decent price.
Yeah, it was good, that, wasn't it? Arizona Cardinal. I mean, I spent the last, 3 furlongs or so swearing at the TV because James de Brierley looked like he was going to win, and the amount of times I've put money on him, but I kept saying he doesn't find anything,
No, I really appreciated that you telling me the horse I'd backed wasn't going to find anything, and then it coming true.
You can't really say he didn't find anything at the end of it, did he?
I know, I was expecting it to happen as well.
But he got outstayed by a strong stayer, didn't he? Who jumped like a stag all the way around. It's brilliant. Yeah,
and another Aintree winner for Stuart Edmonds, who seems to just come here every year and have one.
Yeah, and he has, he is in the form of his life. He's had his best ever year. Pretty much before that. So yeah, good luck to him. Pleased about that. Your stat about JP horses at short odds at the festival took a boost, didn't they? 3 winners, all way shorter than they were last night.
Yeah. Forecasting the first.
I know
as
the
well.
Way You're Thinking was beaten at least twice.
Yeah.
And come through and actually won easily. I mean, he's got stamina to burn, hasn't he? John Bond, he actually took a while to get on top, didn't he? So if you didn't know he'd spent his entire career at 2 Mile, you'd be thinking, I might go further up in trip with him, wouldn't you? You know what I mean?
Well, this is the thing. I mean, if you'd said to someone who didn't know what they were, well, they'd have to know enough of what they were talking about, but if you said you had the Champion Chase second favourite outstay Gold Cup horses, essentially, they'd say you were mad. Yeah. But that's what he did.
Yeah, exactly. Well, both those have been third in a Gold Cup, haven't they?
Yeah.
Yeah. They've both been third round, and he took ages to get on top of them at 2 Mile 4. So, I mean, the only thing is, JP's now got so many top-class stayers, you ain't going to do it anyway, are you?
No. And we'll get to this in a second, but what we're talking about here, I'm just going to say it out loud so I don't forget, but maybe just put all the JP horses in a combination forecast and tricast tomorrow in the National, and we can scrap the entire preview. But let's go to Tom Segal at home, and again, it seems so obvious in hindsight, doesn't it, Tom? You had your 3 JP horses. Skelton won the handicap hurdle. We won. They were plotting up as well. And the Albert Bartlett form finished first and second in the Sefton.
It's just what happens these days, isn't it, Ross? It's really hard. You get 1 or 2 chances, and you've got to take them, because otherwise it just goes to plan. I mean, it's when you have so many good horses in so few hands, they just don't miss, do they?
No.
They just don't miss these horses anymore. They used to. It used to be great fun taking them on after Cheltenham, but, as Kealy said, you thought you had I Know Your Way You're Thinking beaten the whole way round, and he won. And John Bond just did well. We all thought that John Bond had, he's got the class, didn't he? We always knew he had the class, whether he had the sort of constitution and the will.
I think we've all been saying a bit. I mean, he's been chasing very fast horses over hurdles and over fences for 2 or 3 years now, and he's not a good jumper, but it's much harder to jump well over 2 miles going full pace than it is 2.5, and he still cracked 1 or 2.
Yeah, well, I love the way they've campaigned him. I'm slightly different from most. I'm glad they've campaigned him over 2 miles because that's a proper distance. I don't care about Ryanair's and half-mile races. It's 2 miles or the Gold Cup for me. So I love the way they've given him a chance over those trips. Hopefully next year as Kealy says, JP's got so many, he'll probably end up in the Ryanair, but got to have a shot over 3 miles. He has. Yeah.
Well, I mean, given that he's actually quite fresh, he skipped Cheltenham. If it was any other trainer, any other owner, in any other kind of year, you'd be going to Punchestown.
Well, they might do, mightn't they? Because who have they got for the 3 mile championship race there? I mean, are they going to run one of the novices in that? I suppose they could.
I mean, who haven't they got?
Oh, Willie's not going to run Factor File, is he?
No, well, he's not going to run Factor File.
Capodanno?
Gavin Cromwell said I know
in the Nash.
Oh yeah, that's true. Yeah, of course he is. Yeah, you're right. Yeah, you're right. He might do, but it'd be. Yeah, it would. I mean, it'd be great. That's what you want to see, isn't it? That's what you want to see.
That's what I'd like to see. The problem is they said that Shishkin was going there yesterday, didn't they? But if JP says he's going there, that's where he'll go.
Yeah. Okay. Plenty of.
I'd love to see that. That'd be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it would. Okay, like I said to you, this is what I mean. You know, it's like Fakir Dudari a couple of years ago. You win that, you go and have a crack at 3 miles, and if it doesn't work out, then you come back and you win those 2.5 mile races. But nothing ventured, nothing gained.
Exactly. Spot on, Ross. Well said.
Thank you. Well, Tom Segal. I think that's about the 4th time he's agreed with me, Keels, this week. Is he all right?
Yeah.
Is it because Reading are winning?
Yeah, it might be. Yeah, he's in a better mood, isn't he?
Yeah,
that's what it is.
That's it.
It definitely is.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, if your football team winning puts a smile on your face, then David Stevens is going to be a Cheshire Cat. How you doing, my good man?
Portsmouth 1 point from winning the League One, absolutely. But that's all for tomorrow. In terms of today, it was another brilliant day's racing at Aintree. Some fantastic finishes once again. Dan Skelton doing the business with the handicap hurdlers. That was well cheered. Not a difficult day early on, got a little bit harder, but thanks to kills with Arizona Cardinal. I think plenty of punters hopefully finished the day strongly. In terms of John Bond, look, could be a King George horse, couldn't he? Next winter, you'd think that would be ideal for him. 3 to 12 to 1 shot for that. I know the way you're thinking is a 16 to 1 shot for the Gold Cup, and the Supreme, maybe not quite as poor as we thought, but disappointing that both mares, Di Sardinos and Golden Ace, came out of that race. Not quite sure what the reasons for both were, but we might see them at Cheltenham next week, hopefully. But yeah, that was another brilliant day as we build up to what this meeting really is all about, the National. And I must just get in the price booster horse. A horse we're going to be talking about shortly, I'm sure, and a horse we're always going to be talking about because he is the most expensive horse ever sold at auction. Jumps horse. It is, of course, Caldwell Potter. He's a 3 to 1 shot, but for the duration of this live show, he's a 7 to 2 shot for a tenner.
Thank you very much, Caldwell Potter. 7 to 2 out from a 3 to 1 then tomorrow. So let's we'll get to that race in just a second. But again, here is the soothing, dulcet tones of Mr. Keith Melrose to tell you about SmartView.
Fancy a bet, but find it confusing? Do not fear. SmartView is here to help you. We've taken the traditional race card and removed all the jargon and abbreviations which can be daunting for newcomers. The result is a race card that means making informed choices and picking winners is easier than ever. Our racing experts and data scientists have created an algorithm that puts everything a seasoned punter would consider into the attribute bars you see on the race card and assesses each runner with an overall score out of 100.
There you go. And Keith Melrose will be voicing the Racing Post meditation app, which will be ready to download very shortly indeed. Right, let's get excited about Grand National Day then, shall we? What we're going to do is we're going to do the 3 Grade 1s, then we're going to have a look at the big race, and then we'll cover the other 2 handicaps and the bumper after the National. So we'll start off with the Mersey Novices Hurdle, where Brighter Days Ahead is 7 to 4. Caldwell Potter is 3 to 1. Jimmy de Searle is 4 to 1. Ile Atlantique is 6 to 1. Staffordshire Knot, 12's Marne's Way, 16 to 1. Esprit de Poitiers is 20 to 1, and it is 50 to 1 bar those here. 2.5 miles for this Mersey Novices Hurdle, and unfortunately we didn't get to see how good that mare's novice would have matched up with the Supreme form after Dysart, Enos and Golden Ace, as we said, was pulled out earlier on. So we don't know whether this 7-4 about Brighter Days Ahead is as strong as it should be. However, it's a fascinating lineup here. Colwell Potter at 3-1 and Jimmy DeSalle and Atlantique in with it a squeak as well. And one thing I will say to you, Paul Kealy, is if Ballyburn is the best novice hurdler around, why aren't there 2 horses that chased him home?
Yeah, well, that's what I don't get. I think the front 2 are too short. I mean, I know Caldwell Potter has been on the drift. So have pretty much all of Paul Nicholls' graded horses this week, haven't they, for some reason. So interested to see what happens to him first time out. But I mean, he beat, Predator's Gold, 6.5 lengths. That's his last piece of form. That's the form that he's rated 151 on. Jimmy DeSoy was 13 lengths ahead of that one in the Gallagher's. So yeah, I don't really get it. I don't get the 15-8 Brighter Days Ahead. I know Gordon Elliott's talked her up an awful lot. She did come out best at the weights in that Cheltenham race because she was given £5 to the winner. But the winner actually, the winner won in quite commanding fashion.
I mean, I watched the replay back earlier on, because what you were saying about the Jack Kennedy thing, and I thought the winner outstayed her rather than the way around.
Yeah, well, I mean, it's the outspeeded. I think people are tending to believe more, isn't it? Because she has, she does look like she might be more of a stayer. Certainly, pedigree-wise, it is. She is half-sister, obviously, to Caldwell Potter, Mighty Potter.
I thought she got beat fair and square.
So, yeah, but I think she got beat to fair and square, and Golden Ace was going to go off at a double-figure price against horses that officially are not as good as Caldwell Potter.
Yeah.
So she's short enough. I mean, she might win. If she's as good as Gordon Elliott says she is, she might turn up and do an Apple's Jade, or, when she won that juvenile hurdle a few years ago and win it by miles. But I don't really get it. And I thought Jimmy decided he has flip-flopped. He was 4th favourite. And he has come. No, he wasn't. He was always 3rd favourite. Sorry, that's a lie. But I thought he should be nearer favourite. He was only 66-1 at Cheltenham because Mullins had 4 more obvious horses in the race because he'd only come out of maiden company. And
you had it was before obviously all the Henderson horses started to get pulling out. So he also had not Django Bay, the other one, Jinko Blue, didn't he?
Yeah.
So he was the unknown quantity. That's why he was such a big price.
Yeah. So he went there and he beat the others. Okay, he didn't beat Ballyburn, but he was sort of good enough to get on the boat to go over and take on the others, and he beat them straight out of maiden company. So I don't see what's wrong with that form. I think he should be not far off favourite, to be honest.
I mean, I agree. I mean, also, his first hurdles run for the yard. He got beat 3/4 length behind Asian Master, who was 4th in the Supreme. That form's been given a boost. He's from the family of a Reynolds winner, so he'll stay all day.
Yeah. I like him. Yeah.
4-1 seems a bit daft to me, but people will say 4-1's not much of a price to get stuck into. But I'll be absolutely disgracefully backing him each way, Tom.
Disgrace, Ross. You are a complete disgrace.
Hashtag disgrace. Well, what do you like in the Mersey?
Jimmy DeSoy, I like for all the reasons you just said, you boys. Brighter Days Ahead is too short, isn't she? Just on form. She could win, as Kealy said. Don't like Caldwell Potter. I'm not surprised to see him drifting. I think it's just a different kettle of fish, new regime. I don't know. I wouldn't be backing him at 3-1. I thought Jimmy DeSoy was the obvious one, really. Wouldn't be surprised if Brighter Days Ahead wins at all. But she's 7-4 and she hasn't got the form, so it was pretty simple. Though I thought Atlantique has just been a bit disappointing, isn't he? He doesn't seem to find much off the bar. Patrick Mullins got off him at Cheltenham's, and that wasn't his form. He's much better than that. Not sure he is really. So we could let him run. I thought 6-1 was plenty short about the rest. The only fly in the ointment was Lucinda Russell's one, Esprit de Poitiers, and she has a habit of pulling rabbits from hats in novice hurdles at Aintree. So I could see him running better than his price, but I think Willie Mullins will win it like he wins all these novice hurdles, really.
Yeah.
Best one's Jimmy DeSoy.
Okay. We'll give a quick shout out for Staffordshire Knott, though, as well, who was all the rage at Thurles. I don't think he was particularly disgraced. If you take the price out of it, I thought it was a half-decent run and dragged his heels through a hurdle at a crucial point, and it wasn't a bad performance. But, yeah, he's a 12-1 shot. Okay, the Mersey Novices Hurdle. David Stevens, what have you got up your sleeve?
Yeah, look, an obvious case for Jimmy DeSalle with that Ballyburn form, as everyone has alluded to. But I was going to mention Staffordshire Knott too. I thought it was interesting that Gordon Elliott and Gigginstown paid a lot for it in that dispersal sale, paid over $500,000 to keep him, and the fact that they're running him against, as well as By Today's ahead here. You know, he's a decent enough price each way. They don't think that the favourite is, you know, absolutely rock solid because they're running another one. I know they often do run more than one, having said that. But shame we didn't get to see, obviously, the mare's run today. Would have given us more clues. But at the prices, yeah, Jimmy DeSerle and I say Staffordshire not each way. Looks just the value outside of the front few.
Okay, thank you. Mike Boy is going for Il Atlantique. And to be fair, Stevens99 says there wasn't a second behind Ballyburn. You're right. Fresh Air is not running in the Mersey tomorrow. And we've got plenty of national thoughts. We'll get those read out in a short while. But the Mersey?
Jimmy DeSoy for me.
Okay. Tom?
Yeah, I mean, I won't be having a bet, but I think Jimmy DeSoy is the most likely. The one I would back, I did.
I think we're all just about agreeing there. But let's move on to the Liverpool hurdle then. 3 miles, 149 yards the distance, and given some of the hurdle finishes at Aintree this week, that 149 yards might well be crucial to the result. But Flooring Porter is 130, Sire de Burley 9-2, Hidden Valley Lake 6-1, Strong Leader 7s, Crambo 8-1, Hewick 9-1, Buddy 1-11s, Monkfish 12s. You've got the likes of Botox Has and Champ and Dashel Drasher and also Proskema running in here as well for this 3 mile grade 1 event. 12 of them lining up here, plenty of old names, plenty of old favourites, plenty of old horses as well, Tom. But every single time you run a 3 mile grade 1, we talk about small fields. Where do they come from? You get double figures every time. This 3 mile hurdle is coming out of the woodwork.
Yeah, well, it's because they're winnable, aren't they? I mean, you know, it's 3-1 the field, isn't it? 4-1 the field. I mean, I know T Hoopu stood out at Cheltenham, but this is wide open, isn't it? I mean, Flooring Porter's obviously the place to start after his second in the behind T Hoopu at Cheltenham. Always going to run a good race. The key to him is whether Hewick takes him on. I don't think Hewick might not be quick enough to take him on this ground. Well, I could see him getting an easy lead and running well. Sire de Burley won the race last year. He doesn't appear in the same form. I thought Strong Leader stood out at the prices in this for the simple reason that his 2 best runs have been here. He won a 2 mile hurdle, novice hurdle here, beating Etalon, who's a really good chaser for Dan Skelton, who runs later on the card, and then he split in the pocket and Lucia over 2 miles in a grade 1 here last time. He is 3 miles, but if you watch the race, the Cleve Hurdle last time, all he did was stay. He looked like he was going to be last on the top of the hill, and then he finished really strongly, I thought. But it proved to me that he stays 3 miles, no problem. Back at Aintree, stable in form. What's not to like about Strong Leader? I thought he was one of the better bets on the card myself.
Yeah, I mean, if he finishes as well as Go Dante does in the last Folly Murphy Keels, he'd have a chance. It'd be nice if he didn't give.
Yeah, if he can get away on terms, it'd be nice, wouldn't it?
Yeah, 20 length head start.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, that's right. I agree with everything Tom said there. I've tipped Strong Leader as well for exactly the same reasons. Lovely bit of track form. Obviously been prepared for this. Wouldn't rule out Sire de Burley. I mean, Flooring Porter's been favourite for this for the last 2 years. And for the last 2 years, Sire de Burley's beaten him and won the race. In the run up to Cheltenham, everyone was asking Gordon Elliott how he was, and he said he's not quite there yet compared to how he was last year. So there's every chance that he's not far off the horse he was last year, and he will improve. And obviously, horses who keep coming back and winning these races, and we've seen throughout the season that take Tiapu out of it, and the older horses aren't out of it because Paisley Park and Dashel Drasher have been running right up close to all the other main players throughout the season, haven't they? So there's no reason why he won't be in the frame. But I did think at the prices, Strong Leader, like Tom said, was the one that sort of stood out.
Yeah, my theory pre-Cheltenham was that because Elliot has Tiapu and he's the obvious horse going for the stayers. I mean, Sire de Burley going into last year's festivals was much fitter and had run several times. He'd obviously had a hold up, but I got the feeling they weren't too bothered by his fifth in the
yeah, I know, absolutely. Yeah, I can get that, but
however,
just because he wasn't ready, just because he wasn't quite ready.
Oh no, but
Ross, to counter that, he was 33-1 last year, and he was half that price this year. So
yeah, but he was 80 to 1. He was 80 to 1 the night before, but about 6 p.m.
Yeah, So it wasn't like anyone last year.
Because a friend of mine asked me to put a bet on it, and it had gone to 66s, and we decided not to bother.
Yeah, because there's nothing I hate worse than getting.
14 points made all the difference.
Yeah, big shrewdies, eh?
I hate getting a bigger price about a horse I fancy. It drives me mad.
Never had a bean on it.
We should probably mention. I mentioned Buddy 1 as well, Tom, because we mentioned the run here at the track last season over 2.5 miles, where he just got outspeeded by Fenner Cross. Now it was his. I thought it was a huge run, and he was stuck down the inside at Cheltenham, and I know he got beaten by Florin Porter and Tiapu, but he was one of the last ones off the bridle. I don't think he should be double figures either.
No, he could definitely run well, and you could on before that. Crambo obviously won the Ascot race as well, didn't he? And looked like a horse that could play a part. Graham Rodway never stopped mentioning Crambo, did he? Every time he turned up, it was Crambo.
I was just going to say, I wonder what Rodders has tipped for this tomorrow. We'll get a voice. If I had my phone, I'd message him and get a voice note. But I think we can all, we can all guess.
But I agree with you. But I just think Strong Leader's been kept away from Cheltenham. I think 3 miles is perfect for him at Aintree. I like him in this.
Okay. Brian Galt, Sire de Burley is the bet of the week. He says indeed. And Florin Porter wins, says Dunners. And Rob Dixon says, I want Monkfish to win, but ... And yeah, I think that does go for quite a lot of horses in this division. David Stevens, what do you fancy here? Is it Florin Porter? Is it Sire de Burley? Is it Crambo?
No, it's not Rodders. We'll leave that one to him, I think. No, it's another vote for Strong Leader, and just to give it a further endorsement, Sean Boeing, writing in his Coral blog, confirms this has been the target for some time. Really looking forward to it. He loves the track, gets the trip. So yeah, strong Leader for me as well. I think Hidden Valley is interesting. Stays 3 miles, very lightly raced. Winner last time. Be no surprise there's more improvement to come from that one. And Sire de Burley has to be in the trifecta just because of his record in this race. So there we go. There's the 3.
I was waiting for Tom to cut in there and say Hidden Valley Lake is a lummox.
Don't you worry.
Because I think he is.
I've got more lummoxes to come. Don't worry about that. Kid.
Don't you worry. This is merely the starter and the main. The lummoxes will be very much in the dessert, I feel. Okay, that's the Liverpool hurdle then. One more Grade 1 on Grand National Day, of course. That comes after the Grand National. It is the MAGHULL Novices Chase, just shy of 2 miles, but again, on the ground, it will certainly feel like the full 2 mile trip, and there's quite a few horses in here who stay a little bit further as well. Found a 50, only found Iron Maximus, a well-fancied possible Grand National winner. Too strong for him, over 2.5. He drops back, or has been dropping back, and he's 7-4 to Frank Nadalko form again. Hercule de Searle is 6-1, Etalon 6-1, Nickelback 8s, Master Chewy 8s, Calixios 9s, Jello is 12-1 with Liberty Hunter, and bigger prices the rest. And again, a whole host of old friends and old names and horses who've broken our heart and put a smile on our face. Yeah, so got some good horses indeed. I had a good anti-post bet on Jello earlier in the week for the other race that he didn't go for, but I'll have to be following him here at 12-1, but I'll give him a shout in a second. But I mean, of all the horses that are going to drive you mad, Keels, Liberty Hunter, if he wins this...
Yeah, that'll drive me mad. I mean, the standing start didn't help him at all, did it?
No.
I think he'd have won without that.
Turns out they are a shocking idea after it was
they're an awful idea. I was laughing at you earlier on today, which I shouldn't have done. But I'd backed the other well-backed horse in the race who finished tailed off. The standing start just ruined him at Cheltenham. He was second. He was unlucky. Whether he's up to this level, it's a big step up, isn't it? The way I looked at it here is, if found a 50 is 7-4. What the hell is Master Chewy doing at 8-1 and double figures as he was yesterday? He would not have been far behind him. He just stumbled on landing after second last, which you see happen quite a lot, don't you? I mean, I know they moved it round the bend, but it seems to happen just as often as it did when it was before the bend. And he wouldn't have been far away. Now, we know he's shown himself in the past to be a little bit of a weak finisher, but Aintree would definitely suit him better than this. He beat Nickelback easily at Kempton. Yep. And obviously Nickelback's been a bit on the drift since, because he was a fair bit shorter. But the other thing in this race, we know, we saw with Sombry in the Red Rum that pace can hold up here. But there's so much of it in this race.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
you know, they went sensible in the Red Rum. Nickelback doesn't do sensible, really, but he's also too good to ignore.
Yeah, I mean, he doesn't win sensible, does he?
No.
If he's going to go mad, that's how he wins.
Yeah, exactly, yeah. But there's so many. Found a 50 can go in the front, Hercule Destroy, Etalon did last time. Like, you know, and then you've got Nickelback. Liberty Hunter wants to be up there. Like, you know, so... Sorry? Matata, of course, as well. Yeah, Matata went in the one. So there's so many there. So yeah, so I've backed Master Chewy. I thought he was the wrong price. I still think there's a bit of juice in that price, and I do think Jello, who obviously beat Master Chewy here, is another quite interesting horse because, you know, he has been prominent, but he'll be off it here.
I mean, he doesn't need to be that. He made all Ascot, didn't he, when he jumped them into submission from the get-go. But he outstayed Master Chewy on the run-in, and if he is on the heels of Master Chewy or those kind of mad front runners coming to the final fence, I'd be pretty keen on him. And I mean, it was his first visit to Cheltenham last time out, and he got beat by two proper Cheltenham horses. And I know when Ilate Tom won the other day, people said, "Oh, how good is that form?" But Iroko ran a blinder today. I think Grey Dawning and Journey's Destiny just ran into a proper horse the other day.
Yeah. I mean, you know, I didn't fancy Gaelic Warrior at all for the Arkle, but I mean, he's a superstar, isn't he? Basically,
It would appear so.
And he's probably beaten some very good horses.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I think. I mean, a 12-1 for Jello is a bit daft in my personal opinion. The fly in the ointment here, though, Tom, is a horse called Hercule de Searle, who I kind of spotted winning over fences in the back end of the summer and early autumn, and I think it might have been Galway where I saw this horse win, and I had to go and check the Racing Post. What the hell is this? The jumping was exceptional. The engine is incredible. I thought Willie Mullins, Mark Walsh, JP McManus, hasn't been seen since October. Yeah, interesting that he's turning up in this.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's an absolutely fascinating race. I can make cases for all of them. They're all... Founder 50 is not one of my favourites because he's a bit of a... I'm not going to say a lummox because he's not a lummox, but he jumped out to his right, and I wondered whether tight Aintree would suit him. I think he's got the best form by but all the others, I'm fans of all the other horses in the race, which is weird. Normally I've got negatives against loads of them. But I like Quilixios. He obviously missed the break terribly in the Arkle. I could see him bouncing back. I have to think that Jello might be a little bit taken out of his comfort zone, if I'm honest. I mean, I like Jello too, but I think he wants to go further myself. I think this will be too quick for him myself. Liberty Hunter I'm a big fan of. He's got to step up. I thought Etalon was quite interesting because I loved his jumping at Sandown. I thought he put in one of the best jumping rounds from a novice, bar Nickelback, funnily enough. I've seen it Sandown for many years. I thought he was brilliant. Whether that makes him good enough to compete in this company, I don't know. But he's a horse I've got a soft spot for. I thought it was really hard. I really didn't know what to fancy. I know Keels loves Master Chew. He's got a soft spot for those Twisting Davises. I wonder whether he might just be lacking a bit of a class of a few of these. But I see his argument for the race running to suit. I might have a few quid on Quilixios and Liberty Hunter just because of their prices. But it's not a race I've got any great, desire to have a go in. It's not one of my races anyway. So I haven't really studied it, but I would take on Founder 50, and I don't know enough about Hercule de Soy to really back him either. So it's a fascinating race. Looking forward to it, like hardly any races I have this season.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, fair enough. I mean, if you're bored and you've got 10 minutes, Tom, play the Galway and the Ross.
I've seen him. He is very impressive jumper, isn't he?
He pings them. Absolutely pings them. Right, to David Stevens, 7-4 favourite in Founder 50, which none of us fancy, even though the form is absolutely rock solid. What are you going for?
Yeah, I do think Founder 50 is the most likely winner, and that's reflected in his price. I think the intriguing one is Hercule de Soy. I don't know if Willie Mullins presumably is commenting tomorrow's Racing Post previewing this, why he's been off since October, whether they've had particular issues or... But listen, you wouldn't be worried about his fitness. He'll be cherry ripe, but I'm sure. Obviously, the McManus horses have been flying here over the 2 days. I just thought he was the interesting one, given the strength that Willie Mullins has, the fact that they bought him here, and around 6-1 he would do for me each way.
Thank you very much, Mr. Stevens. And as for the rest, Cheese is going for Nickelback each way. Not sure about that. I feel like Nickelback's either goes from the front and never sees another horse, or goes from the front and drops out the back of the telly kind of horse, but you never know. I might be wrong about that. But apart from that, not a great deal of opinions, although shout out to Napog, who says, what Muppets? Muppets. I think he thinks we're Muppets. He thinks someone's Muppets. Anyway. Thanks for joining us anyway.
Thanks for coming.
Thanks for getting involved. Right, let's have a look at the Grand National, shall we? Just the 34 runners to go through this year, so it should be easy to pick the 1, 2, 3. I reckon, but I think we can all agree that fingers crossed it will not be like last year's race, and whatever they do to adjust the Grand National, if it can make it enjoyable to watch. I think that's the key thing, and we all want the horses to come back home safe, and that is, it doesn't matter where your horse finishes. We want everyone to be okay, and last year was not good on the eye, so hopefully this year will be a little bit better. The soft ground, the smaller field, and obviously not having people protesting the race right before and getting them all buzzed up should make a big difference. Korak Rambler is 7-1, and he's joint favourite here with Io Maximus in a bid to follow up that win last year. Limerick Lace is 10-1, Vanillier 10-1, Panda Boy 10-1, Meeting of the Waters 10-1, Marla Mission is 11-1, Kitty's Light at 12-1. And if we could possibly go on to the other side of the prices, I'll throw a few more at you as well. We might as well run through the prices for most of these if we can. Mr. Incredible is 12s, Manila Indo 16-1, Delta Work 18s, Noble Yates 20s, Gallia de Lito 25s with Cocoa Beach. Nassalam and Galvin are 28-1 here. And then we've got the likes of Capadano, Foxy Jacks, Late Night Pass, adamantly chosen 8, that a shame, and many, many more. David Stevens, the Grand National, the world's greatest steeplechase, just the 500 grand on the table for the winner. What have Coral got up their sleeves for prize boost purposes?
Yeah, we're 6 places each way in this race, and you mentioned the first prize there, $500,000. I mean, if Willie Mullins goes and has a 1-2 or 1-2 or 1-3, then he's probably going to be in the lead in the trainer's title. He's currently 13-8 to win that. But look, Irish, they dominate numerically. They've now got the joint favourite, Korak Rambler. Has been easy to back for a few days now, really, because of the support for the Irish runners, rather than a particular weakness about last year's winner. But a Willie Mullins trained winner of this is 5-2 from 2-1. And then Irish domination. An Irish 1-2 was odds on 4-5 is 11-10. An Irish 1-2-3 is 5-2 from 2-1. But loads of specials the guys have done on the site, but they're just a few to pick out as we get stuck into this.
Okay, so you're going to throw some more as we go. Is that the plan?
Well, I might do if I feel like it. If I'm not being a muppet.
Fair enough. I mean, we're all Muppets, David, but otherwise,
very little chance of you not being a Muppet, Mr. Stevens.
That is true. If it wasn't the Grand National, I'd say tell us in the chat which Muppet David Stevens would be, but never mind. Right, let's go on then. Korak Rambler 7-1, Io Maximus at 7-1. We'll come to you, Tom, first. Let's rattle through a few. I'm gonna ask you to. We'll save the actual selections till last. We're not going to go through it runner by runner, but first off, what's your criteria for nailing down the shortlist here? Obviously, you're not a trends man or anything like that, and I know you watch back all the videos. If you watch back all the videos of these, you must have started at last year's Grand National. But the race has completely changed. It's changed again this year. What are we looking for when we're looking for a national winner in 2024?
I don't know.
That was such I couldn't have set you up better there to start with an articulate, intelligent preview.
I have the worst record in the Grand National since it's changed than anyone. I can't get anything to finish. There's been 3 fallers and I've been on one of them. I've had Annie second now, nearly brought down when he should have won. I find it really, really, really difficult to have any preconceived ideas about what wins a national these days. I don't think you do.
No, that's fair. But every time you start a preview with that kind of negative opinion, Tom, by the end of it, I've coaxed something out of you, and you've gone, actually, you know what?
Well, I'll tell you the winner later on. All
right, okay.
I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. I don't think there are any sup, fast, and set rules anymore. I mean, if you look, what do you need? What's the national horse these days? It wasn't,
Well, I mean, if I'm honest with you, I think the three things now are youth, genuine class, and coming into this off the back of a really big run. I mean, it used to be the days where they'd be finishing 6th, 7th, 8th in races to get a nice handicap mark. Now, I think you want to be coming into this off the back of a win or a place in really, really good company and have enough class about you to power home. I'm not looking at the 10 or 11-year-olds. I'm looking at the 7, 8 and 9-year-olds who've got a bit more to play with.
That's fair. That's fine until you come to Noble Yates, who ran down the field in the Ultima and looked like a, And I don't know. I don't know what you need. I think that's you can see that from the price. It seems to me that as soon as they changed the fences, the average winning SP went from about 14 to 1 out to about 33 to 1. Now the last few years that's changed again. We've had some Tiger Rolls and some Korak Ramblers who have come in at the head of the market, but there was a period for about 10 years where it was impossible. And now you might have found it, and people can say I found that, but they didn't really know why they found it. And I think that's what's happened to the National. I think it's really, really difficult to have any preconceived ideas about what a national horse is. I agree with you. I think that the compression of the weights has made all those trends that people used to use completely ridiculous and redundant. So I don't think there are any of those sort of trends that people like to put together for a national these days. I really don't. And with 34 runners now, there's probably not going to be the chaos that there might have been. There might still be. Who knows? It's still a 34-runner handicap at the end of the day. But with small fences that you can brush through. And the second circuit, they're like hurdles, aren't they? Because all the spruce is off the top of them. I mean, how many horses fall on a second circuit these days? Virtually none.
Which is again, is great. I mean, this is the thing. I mean, I know people will say, oh, it won't be the National and soon it'll only be any other 30-runner handicap chase. But like I said, I was watching it last year at a wedding with some family members, and half of them left the room. So we don't want to. We don't want that. We want the best horses to be involved in the finish, and I guess that's what we get these days.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you don't know. Well, in hindsight, they've turned out to be the best horses, but at the time. That you don't know they're the best horses. I mean, that's the Noble Yates.
Yeah, I mean that you've kind of sluiced through the entire point of predicting horse racing winners there in a sense. But yeah, you're right.
Well, but just this race specifically, I think this race has turned into a really, really hard race because.
That's fine. All right. Okay, I'm going to ask you now, Tom. Let's talk about a horse. Pick a horse you do like who might run a big race.
Well, I think there's one horse that completely stands out miles ahead of the rest, and that is last year's winner, Korak Rambler. I cannot see how he's not going to run a massive race. He's the best horse in the race. He's got the best piece of form, and he won the race last year. And he's still, to me, he's still £3 well in on what you said. What is not to like about him? I suppose people are going to say he had a hard race at Cheltenham, but if you give Calapan de Champs 20 lengths and cut it down to 2, jumping the second last, you're going to be tired. Who says he wasn't? Lucinda Russell is completely on record of saying that was a prep for this race. I cannot see how he isn't going to run a massive race. All last year's, you look at the history of last time out winners, they always come back and run well. They always do. Noble Yates was placed, Hedge Hunter was placed, Tiger Roll came back and won. So I can't see why he's not going to run a massive race. It's not my modus operandi to go to the head of the market, but sometimes easy to, I'm brilliant at making excuses why favourites can't win and why outsiders can't, why outsiders can. But I don't get it. I don't get why he isn't clear favourite. If you're telling me I Am Maximus could finish third in a Gold Cup to Galopan and Jerry McCullum, I'm telling you he could no chance on. He'd be 50 to 1 in a Gold Cup and would have no chance. And all these horses around him in the market and in the weights, he's not giving weight to, your Delta Works and there's Marla Missions. What's Marla Mission done to be 2 points different from Korak Rambler? For me, he hasn't. So for me, I'm quite keen on him. I think he's going to run a massive race. He might find a sneaky one down, a Panda Boy or a Limelight Lace down the bottom. Too good. But I thought he was one of the easiest Grand National winners you'd ever see last year. But if he hadn't hit the front as early as he did, because we all know he idles the front, I think he would have won. I just thought he won so easily. I could see him doing the same again. I think he's a brilliant horse that's got a brilliant chance of winning the race again.
Yeah. And I mean, you know, he beat a dual Grade 1 winner in the Ultima before that last year as well, didn't he? And I mean, he did have a hard race. Clearly, had a hard race. I mean, he was walking up and down on the spot. But like you said, he came from last to third, and it was his first run since November. If he'd had 3 runs in the winter leading up to it, and he'd a finish like that, I might have thought, oh.
He was miles better in the Grand National than he was in the Ultima last year as well, wasn't he?
Yeah.
Now, I know he didn't have the same hard race, and I know it wasn't Cheltenham, but I think we're making... Lots of horses have come out of Cheltenham today and run. I mean, you know,
Tom, Jerry Colomb had a hard race, and he won the bowl easily yesterday, didn't he?
And Dancing City was walking up the hill. Yeah. He's come out on. You know, loads of them. Are, you know, it's 4 weeks on. These are horses. They're trained athletes. You know, I don't know. I think he's going to run a massive race.
Okay. There we go. I mean, he doesn't have a good record in a national. Doesn't know what it takes to win a national. But Tom, that was an incredible case,
confident as you could be, wasn't it? I mean, I was one of those that was against Brierley because he had hard race, but he was 4-1 and 9-2 then, and he's 8 now.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And you know, it's undeniably a big price on what he did last year. And if he hasn't, you know, if he has got over that race, I did think he was particularly tired. That was my look at the race. And yes, he was entitled to be tired because of what he'd done, but did that leave its mark or not? And that's what bothered me. But I mean, I've been all over Maximus for ages anyway because I backed him at 50 straight after Leopardstown, and I don't think he'd be a 50 at one shot in the Gold Cup, to be honest. Well, he might be, but he'd run better than one.
I mean, it depends whether they're trying to win a Gold Cup, because they weren't trying to win those races, were they?
Yeah, no, exactly. They weren't trained there. They never got involved at Leopardstown at all. I mean, if you know, I was there. Right, you were there. Yeah. Were you there still, or had you gone back by then?
I don't even remember now. That
like, you know what I mean? But you see there, you know, looking out on the course, and he bounded up the straight in his distant third, but you know, full of running. You know, and he came out the next time, absolutely destroyed Vanillier. He's better off at the weights now as well. You know, Vanillier was second to Corrit Rambler last year. I mean, his issue was his jumping. He goes out to his left, which, you know, you think on a big left-handed course shouldn't bother him, but when there's 34 runners, you go out to your left, you end up, it's a fair chance you're going to bump into something, isn't it? So that's it.
Unless you scrape the paint, which has its own
well,
problems.
I don't think he'll scrape the paint either, because he likes a bit of space, apparently, so he's going to be around the outside.
Okay.
You know, I'd imagine he's going to be around the outside. I'd be surprised if he isn't. So, yeah, I mean, would I back him at that price now? No, probably not. Limerick Lace, they finally cottoned on to why Mark Walsh is riding him, because it took a while for her to get that short. But I suppose little brother, I know the way you're thinking, showing how much stamina he's got, has persuaded people that, well, she might have some too, even though her best form's at 2.5 mile. You know, and she was beaten by Coco Beach in Troy Town, wasn't she?
Well, that's no disgrace, though, is it?
No, not at all. Not at all. You know, so. You know,
if anything, I'm you know,
there's a fair chance she'll stay.
Well, she's got the thing I like about Iron Maximus and Limerick Lace is there's a bit of Manila Times to them both. They've got class over shorter, but they definitely stay further, which I think is that national combination you need. Yeah,
I can see that. But I ended up, after all of this, looking at all these young horses coming through and been staying for ages, I ended up putting up Delta Work because. Just looking at the way he went for the National last year, he was still going really well when he came down just before Beach's second time. He was third 2 years before to Noble Yates, and he just finished very tired that day. But he had a right set too with Tiger Roll in the cross-country chase before that at Cheltenham, and that was less than 4 weeks to the National since then. And because obviously he's had his main target race abandoned, he wouldn't be 20. You know, he was 25s when I backed him. He wouldn't be the price he is had he run in that cross-country race, because he'd probably have won it or gone very close. Yep. And you know, he was 11-1 last year, 10-1 the year before. I think he'll get round. I think it'll be in. You know, it'll be in the frame. Gordon Elliott's talking him up. His horses are starting to run really well again. He'd had a real quiet spell in the run up to Aintree, but. You know, he's had Jerry Colomb win, he's had others run really well, and he was talking this one up. He seems to like his chances. I only heard that yesterday. I do too. I just think he's going to be there or thereabouts.
Okay. I mean, there's plenty of others we could throw into there.
Of course yes.
I'm going to go to David Stevens, see if he fancies throwing anything in. Does he? Do you have a price boost or an opinion or a favourite muppet? What do you got, David?
Yeah, just I mean, a bit of context for this race. Obviously, we know it's by far the biggest betting race of the year, but we take 10 times as much on this as we do the second biggest race, which is the Cheltenham Gold Cup. Now, clearly, that's because we get a lot of, and they are, let's not call them anything else, they're once-a-year punters. This is a race they have their annual flutter on, and that can lead to some pretty left-field market moves. I mean, already an early sort of update on what's been backed this afternoon and into the early evening. On horses, these are likely to be popular public horses tomorrow, not because of form, not because of anything like that, just because fundamentally the name. And the likes of Foxy Jacks, Ain't That a Shame, Cocoa Beach, Late Night Pass, Run Wild Fred, and I Am Maximus. Now, I Am Maximus obviously has got a much more obvious form claim, but it's that sort of unusual race where things can happen on the day that you might be thinking, well, why is that one shortened? Of those that are more obvious, and more of a form line that have been back, particularly today, Limerick Lace is one and Panda Boy is another. I think JP McManus might have been interviewed or spoken to on ITV and sort of steered towards Limerick Lace as being the best of his. I think that's what caused a little bit of flurry of activity for her, as well as, obviously, I know the way you're thinking, winning. So it is a complete one-off. And I suppose, look, the real thing just to say to anyone having a once-a-year flutter is, don't be put off anything, because it isn't the lottery it once was, but you can still get the occasional shock, albeit it's quite interesting. Tom's gone for Corrit Rambler. Hills has an early fancy for I Am Maximus. They are the two at the head of the betting now. That probably does say a lot about the modern Grand National.
Thank you, David. Let's have a few fancies from the chat. I'm on Rambler and Vanillier, both at 25-1, says Dunners, and they're the best chance between them. I'm also going to have a little bit at Delta. He's already had a little bit of Delta work at 33-1. Glenn Gooley at 66-1 could be the interesting outsider, says Disney account. Panda Boy anti-post for Darren Walker. Schmeichel Jackson has got in touch. Fantastic. It says Gallia Delito ran well in last year's Brown Advisory. Gave my silver lining £20 in the Classic Chase. We all know that one has done since. And so Schmeichel Jackson is going for that one. Mr. Incredible for Darren Walker as well. And Pompey Blue, interesting, in reverse order. Gallia Delito, Glenn Gooley, Foxy Jacks. And Adamantly Chosen is the one I kept looking at earlier on. I mean, you were saying some of the big prices here are horses who possibly had their day or badly handicapped, but I've had half an eye on this horse for years now, and he's 7 years old. They stepped him up to 3 mile 2 last time out, and he absolutely bolted up under Sean O'Keefe. He's got a mark of 148, and I thought, he was potentially I think I backed him in the Brown Advisory.
I backed him below. Yeah, I did. I definitely did. Yeah.
Yeah, and they stepped him up last time out. They've almost kept him fresh for these kind of races, and he just bounded clear. He's off a lightweight. He's a 7-year-old. He's got that class as well. I couldn't believe the price.
Yeah, I can see that. I mean, you drew my attention to it. I hadn't even thought about him, to be honest. I'd lost the plot with him a long while ago.
Well, he's a bit James the Burley,
even though
he's
only 7, yeah. I would have lost the plot if that thing would have won, I'll tell you. But yeah, I can see the argument for him for sure. I mean, there are, of all the outsiders, I mean, there are loads in there that I just look at them and I think, well, that's another Irish trained horse that's in the race to keep other horses who might be well handicapped out of it, because they've got no chance whatsoever. Some, guaranteed non-stayers, horses that are badly out of form. If you want to bring another new rule in for the National, I reckon you've got to finish in the first 3 or 4 in at least one 3 mile plus chase on your last 3 starts.
Like a
all this PBP nonsense.
Couldn't agree more.
You know what I mean? We allow some absolutely, not rubbish, but horses that completely lost their form, run over the wrong trip, got no chance of staying, and they keep potential. I mean, who was the one that Melina Gale was the one that missed out?
Yeah.
Strong stay here with good form this season. Desertmoor House was next in. You'd have given him a right chance. And of course, they've managed to miss out because we got some rubbish running in it who just shouldn't be there.
Fair enough.
I agree entirely, Ross. I think that's a big thing. If any of these horses are pulled out on the day of the race, there should be a steward's inquiry, and they should be fined heavily, unless there's obviously an obvious veterinary excuse, because you're keeping out horses that have been trained for the race with horses that haven't even finished over fences or finished 50 lengths behind. I mean, your Farouk Delens, and I'm going to name them, and your Run Wild Fred shouldn't be in the race. They just shouldn't be in the race. I don't care how good they once were or what they once were.
Yeah.
You know, if you back them and you win, good luck. But, you know, they shouldn't be in the race. Whereas Molina Girls won a massive pot at Cheltenham. Desert Moorhouse won the Kerry National. Those are the horses we want in the race. It makes it a better race. It makes it a better punting race. It makes it a race we all want to watch more. So I agree with Keels. Keep those PPPBBB's horse out. The Lummoxes out.
Yeah, absolutely. You haven't used the line on the joint favourite, Tom. It's right there for you.
Yeah, I think he's a Lummox, I am Maximus. I really
he's
do.
undoubtedly a Lummox.
Yeah.
I don't worry about that in Nationals anymore, though.
No, I get why you don't worry about it.
I mean, I backed Gaillard de Mainil last year, who is chief Lummox, and he ran an absolute blinder.
Yeah, I think we got to mention Kitties, haven't we?
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Isn't Kitties going to run a massive race?
Yeah, drier it gets, the better he'll run, without a shadow.
Well, he's
of a
another
doubt.
one. He's only 8 years old. He's got that mix. There's quite a few horses in here who are still young by Staying Chaser standards, and have got
Do you know
class.
he lost the ballot? He lost the ballot. If Completed had stayed in, he would have been out.
Yeah.
For Eclat de Rire and the other horse, Chambards, the 12-year-old. That would have been a shocker, wouldn't it? I mean, with all the stories going on and all the goodwill around Kitty's Light, that would have been a massive own goal.
Although that you say that, but by your rules, he wouldn't be running given his form figures of 4.7057. I mean,
No, he'd be running. It's the ones that don't run over fences very much or pull up when they do.
Well, I mean, he's run 5 times this year, 3 times over hurdles, and the 2 over fences were 13th and 7th. I'm just saying, if we're going to introduce those rules, he doesn't run.
You're harsh on him, though.
He did beat. I
You
can see what you're
can't
saying.
say it's harsh if we introduce
I
a
didn't
rule.
say. I said the rule, and he wouldn't be running, and I actually wouldn't have a problem with it. But obviously, he is not a no-hoper by any stretch.
No,
of
I agree,
the
but I'm just saying
imagination.
that if you put a blanket rule in, it would.
It was 7th in the Ultimate. It beat 14 horses in the Ultimate. It wasn't that bad a run.
I know, but you said the rule should be 4th or 5th in a Staying Chase.
No. I agree, and I would say you'd have to accept that as well.
Yeah.
Like,
Fair enough.
but then maybe they'd be campaigned in them as well, because he did run 3 times over hurdles.
Yeah. David Stevens wants to interject. The referee is stopping the fight. Hello, David.
No. You mentioned the Ultima, and Kealy's like, the horse that was sent off 9-2 favourite for the Ultima is the Goffer. He's now a 50-1 shot. I mean, he's only a 7-year-old.
Yeah, you need to add another naught to that price, mate. He doesn't stay. Barely stays 3 miles. Sorry.
All right, that's you, Tom, David.
Sorry, mate. Just shut up.
That's fine. Yeah, I was going to say. Yeah, feel free to interrupt 7 words into Keels' selection.
He ran well over 3.5 miles
He's
last.
got no chance.
Whoa, hang on. Look, I told you, we said no bullying of David Stevens.
No.
All right, that was the rule. He took enough stick last night.
But go back to Kitties, Ross.
Yeah, go back to Kitties. Tell me why he can win the national.
Because he's won an Ida, a Scottish National, and a Bet 365 chase. Off similar mark. He's a pound higher, isn't he, than the last one? And he won, look, they're not Grand Nationals, but he's an incredible horse that's got incredible staying power. And he's like a cat over his fences. I think the race is tailor-made for him. I'm not worried about
It is. And this stupid ballot, that's nonsense as well, isn't it? Why don't they just let the shortest price in the betting in?
Correct.
How on earth did Eclat de Rire get ahead of him? Like, you know what I mean? You want the best horses with the best chances running in the race, don't you?
I agree. Other horses we need to throw into who I know he's carrying a right lump of weight, but he's another one who ticks all the boxes. I mean, if I was to choose any horse in this race that I would have liked to own since the start of his career, it would be a no-brainer. It'd be Cocoa Beach. This horse is an absolute blinder of a horse. 33 runs under rules, 7 wins, 5 seconds, 3 thirds, 300 grand in prize money. I mean,
I backed him for the Fred Winter.
What? For the Fred Winter?
For the Fred Winter. He was second to Band of Outlaws.
Oh, yeah, he was indeed. Exactly. You've been to Cheltenham
Yeah,
Festivals.
he's been around for ages. I love horses like that.
He's incredible, and I know that it's a big lump of weight he's going to have to carry around, and I know he was pulled up in this last year, but last year he went into it off the back of RPRs of 146 and 154. This year, 157, 162, 161, 160.
Yeah.
He's a better horse.
Didn't he shape like a non-star a year before, though, as well?
Yeah, but even then he was going into it. He's just a better horse this year, isn't he?
I can get that. I can get that he's a better horse. I'm not
He's an
convinced.
amazing horse, isn't he? As Keel says, he ran in a Fred Winter, and that's why I like, Kitty's Lights by Nathaniel. He's a flat horse. There's great stories in this race. There always are, which is why we need to make it as good as we possibly can. These horses, they're brilliant horses. I would above all, I would love Kitty's Light to win, because I just think he's a great story for everyone concerned. I think it would be a brilliant thing for the race.
Yeah. One more. I mean, we're going to have to kind of get narrow selections down here, but we have to mention Vanillier as well. We're talking about horses trained for the race, but what I like about him, I mean, he ran a blinder in last year's contest, of course, and then he finished second last time. It was a perfect prep run behind I Am Maximus, and I mean, when can you not fancy a Gavin Cromwell handicap stage chaser?
Yeah, actually, he's superb, isn't he? Got a bit of a trend to overcome, isn't he? Because the last 10 runners up who went back were all absolutely tailed off, useless. Yeah. My other issue with him depends on how soft the ground is, because he definitely likes better ground. I think only one of his top 9 RPRs is on worse than good to soft.
Yeah,
that'd worry me a little bit about him.
Yeah, that's fair.
But otherwise, yeah, I mean, he ran a cracker. He wasn't beaten far by a horse who's now £13 higher, isn't he? This year. So
yeah. Must shout out as well to a friend of mine, Lucy, who is scheduled to have a baby a couple of days after the National, and has said that she will name the child after the winner. So that's also got a big...
Oh, who do you want it to be?
I mean, it's got to be...
Farouk Dalen.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, Maximus is a crack. I mean, Maximus is a cracking name, isn't it?
Yeah.
Mr. Incredible.
Ain't that a shame?
Absolutely. Yeah. So
we did have a guy at the Racing Post years and years ago called his son Nijinsky.
Really?
Yeah.
Right. Okay. Quite the dancer, I'm sure. Okay. Right. Grand National 2024. Then let's narrow it down a bit. Tom, give us your main selection and 2 that are in the mix.
Korak Rambler is my main selection. I think Kitty's Light will run really well, and the other one, I'm very scared of Marla Mission running well, but I'm not sure he's that well handicapped. And Vanillier, I think. I don't quite see the money for Limerick Lace myself, but obviously other more clever people do. So, I mean, she's something like £13 higher than when she was beaten in the Troy Town. It was only a mare's race she won, with all due respect, Marsh Wren. So I don't quite see it, but maybe she'll make a massive step forward for the trip. She'd be the one I'd like least at the short prices, I think.
Okay. Paul Kealy, saying to you, main selection and a few in the mix?
Yeah, main selection. Well, the one I want to win is I Am Maximus, because it's very rare for me to have an anti-post bet that even gets a run, let alone goes off miles shorter. So, I want him to win. Delta Work, I think he's going to run a fine race. And Panda Boy, I mean, he needs to have a right chance, and he's massively better off from meeting at the Waters for that Leopardstown run for 4.5 lengths. All he's done since then is run an eye-catching 4th in a handicap hurdle at the Dublin Racing Festival. Finished 5th in an Irish National, so he's got some stamina. So, yeah, going to be my 3. Kitty's to finish 4th.
Martin Brazel had a winner and a second on the flat at Leopardstown the other day, of all things. So, Yard are in cracking form, and obviously very good with these kind of horses. David Stevens, same to you, main selection and those in the mix?
Yeah, Panda Boy would be my main selection. Clearly, this has been the target. Martin Brazel knows exactly what it takes. I Am Maximus, Irish Grand National winner. Trained by the man that's winning just about everything. Has to be in the mix. Marla Mission is fascinating, coming off a break, but they clearly think plenty of him. And I just hope the Goffer finishes in the first 6, and I can just come back and stick 2 fingers up at Keels next week.
That is true. I mean, you're allowed to do that anyway, but I'm sure he won't mind. He's not listening anyway. He's drifted off. Okay,
yeah. I'm on the 120 now.
Yeah, fair enough. I'll go. I think I am. I mean, I did the annoying thing that you did the opposite of you, Keels. When this horse won at Fairy House, I thought over 2.5 miles. I thought, hang on a minute, we've got an Irish National horse who's just won a graded race over 2.5. I'm like, that's a National horse. It was 25-1 at the time. I didn't have a penny on it. However, I do think he's just got the perfect profile for the race, and if he gets a good spin, he's going to go very, very close indeed. I'll be back in adamantly chosen at a much bigger price. I think, like I said, he's been completely missed in this. He should stay. He looked like he was going to stay last time out. He won by 14 lengths over 3 mile too. So I think he's very interested. He's got a lot of class, and I think Cocoa Beach will be in there with in the places as well. And it's hard not to kick Korak Rambler out of the frame, isn't it? So Maximus Cocoa Beach adamantly chosen Korak Rambler there. I think will be in the mix for the national. As for those at home, we've got Panda Boy for quite a few of them, and top 3 for Neil Dawkins, Korak, Kitty's, Panda. Which, that's going to be quite decent indeed. And Schmeichel, Jackson, Korak, Rambler, Gallia, Delito, Vanilla, unanimously chosen. 1, 2, 3, 4 for him. Right, that's the Grand National 2024. Best of luck, and like I said, may everyone come home safe and sound. We've still got a few more races to have a look at on National Day at Aintree, so let's rattle through these with our selections. We've got a 3-mile handicap hurdle to kick off proceedings tomorrow. West Balboa 11-4, Cuthbert Dibble 13-2, Gwenny Mayboy 8s with Johnny Who and 9-1. Bar those poor Kealy, West Balboa, or the Skelton's going to be doing it again?
Yeah, I mean, I put her up earlier in the week, in the weekender, because I just didn't think she would go off at 8. So I also didn't think she'd go off at 11-4. I just have to jump off at that sort of price in the end. And I'm always a little bit of a sucker for a well-handicapped older horse if I can find a reason for it. And I just think Jaffroy is a massive price. He has run really, really well this season on his last 4 starts. He beat Kintara 2 starts ago. And he's gone up £10 and was running a cracker in the Grade 1 novice today before he fell at the last. Last time he was 4th to Cuthbert Dibble and wasn't quite so good. But he was giving £1 to the winner. He's £12 better off today. That one's second favourite. He's 33-1. He was second in this race 3 years ago to Hometown Boy off a stone higher mark. Looks to me like he's been geared up for another crack at a decent prize at his age. I just thought he's a silly price. And the other one I would give us another chance to was Lord Snooty. He was only a half length off Cuthbert Dibble at Haydock. They reckon something went wrong with the tongue tie last time and he resented it, which is why he'd never looked like refusing to race before. And he just didn't seem to want to know, so they've taken that off him. On his best form, he's got a right chance. Yeah. It just depends on whether he can breathe without the tongue tie. But some of his best form was without it. I mean, he's the one that he'd kill me tomorrow. I mean, I've backed him so many times. Yeah. Well, I've got to remind you that the best system for the Grand National is just back every horse that would really annoy you if it won. Yeah, and a 1 to 3 Dutch for the whole field, pretty much. Is that it? Right. Okay. What do you make of the 120, Tom?
When I had a few quid on West Balboa when she was about 5 or 6 to 1 and a few hours ago. 11-4 is very short, but I think she's going to win. I really do. She absolutely bolted up last year. She couldn't have been a bigger eye catcher at Kempton last time. It's boring, but it's a 22-runner handicap. But these Skeltons get the job done, don't they? Whatever price they are, Katira today, I think she's just going to win. Yeah, I mean, I thought this was a significantly weaker race than the one she won last year. So I thought she was fairly solid as well. David?
Yeah, another one for the favourite, West Balboa, and I don't think a £9 rise will be enough to stop the stablemate Gwenny Mayboy completing the forecast for the Skeltons. We are 5 places each way in this race, and Geoffroy that Kills was talking about is 40s down to 25s, I'm guessing because of Mr. Kealy.
The one I will say, though, I mean, I'm going to have to back Johnny Who each way because I thought this horse was a graded hurdler and he's here off, 9th in the weights in a handicap hurdle that I think is pretty poor. That run behind Captain, so you got Lookaway and the Jukebox Man were 2nd and 3rd, and they've run absolute blinders in Grade 1 company today. So if he improves for 3 miles and a handicap mark, which he definitely should, 8 to 1 could. He's the only one I thought. Your thing, Tom. What is it a horse in here that could blow the race apart? He's the only one in there, I think. Absolutely.
Quick mention to the old Black Bamboo as well, who I've fallen for a number of times, but he keeps sucking me back in because he keeps finishing fast. If you watch the Coral Cup back, I think he would have been maybe 4th if he hadn't really lost a lot of ground at the second last. Flew up the hill. He's going to love 3 miles. Could see him running well as well.
Okay, the 2:30 at Aintree, 3 miles and a furlong here for this handicap chase, and we're going to have another short price JP horse in the shape of Crebilly at 7:02. But if the Skeltons can line up a handicap hurdler, then crikey, I think they've lined up a handicap chaser here. The King of Ryehope at 4 to 1, Forward Plan at 6 to 1, Twig 13 to 2, Cruise Control 9s, Kilbeg King 10s, Fugitive 14s, and Bigger the rest. I think this looks like a plan. For the entire season with the King of Ryehope, Tom. I mean, I think the Skeltons have had either the winner or a horse placed in the past 5 years, and yeah, he's going to get skinny again. But again, it's not a particularly strong race in terms of depth, is it?
It's not that strong a race, I didn't think. Brierley's got to jump better, hasn't he? He's definitely an interesting horse, and he's got to prove he's going to stay as well. He looked like he'd stay. He looked like he wouldn't mind going up and trip it. You're worried about Corach Rambler having a hard race. Brierley had a much harder race, and he's half the price of Corach Rambler, I thought. So I'd be slightly worried about him. King of Rye Hope's just there for everyone to see, isn't he? I thought he should have won the Reynoldstown, really, last time, and smashed into the last. Just whether he's quite... I mean, he's a novice in a handicap, so we all know what happens here. I agree with you. I think he's going to go really well. Forward Plan, I absolutely love Forward Plan. He's one of those horses that people never cotton on to. You know what I mean? He when he won it the first time out, I can't remember who it was, and then he should have won the Great Yorkshire, and then he did win the big race at Kempton, and he finishes like a train every time. He's just one of those horses that he's never going to win by far, but is always going to win with loads in hand. So I could see him run and go well.
I mean, he's very reminiscent of Hunt Ball, I think. I mean, in terms of race after race after race, and still got plenty in hand.
Absolutely brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. He's been all season. I'd love to see him go well. And I thought Cruise Control had a chance as well, who didn't stay in the Ida, but then won pretty easily at Newcastle last time. I actually think the drying ground, the more it dries out, the better for him. Because I think there could be more for him to come. And Tom Lacey's he's quite adept at these sort of horses. So I thought it was wide open. I ended up on the King of Rye Hope, but at the prices now, he's getting pretty skinny. I might be looking at Forward Plan.
Over to you, Paul Kealy.
I'm a Cruise Control man.
Okay.
He just basically runs a career best nearly every time he runs, and most of them have been over 2.5 mile, and then he went straight from 2.5 mile to 4 mile, 1.5 furlongs in the Ida, and it was a little bit below form. It wasn't a mile below form, but he clearly didn't stay, and he came back to 3 mile at Newcastle last time, and he hit the line hard, and he just won really well. And it's funny, I'd half like to see him on faster ground as well, but the trainer says the opposite. He doesn't want it to dry out. That's what he says in the paper tomorrow. So. Interesting. Irrespective of that, the ground's going to be fine for him, whatever it is tomorrow, because he's handled softer ground, and he ain't going to get that fast anyway. So yeah, no, I like him. I like him a lot. My other one was the King of Rye Hope, because it is very, very obvious. But everybody jumps on them, and then when they get that short, I jump off. Just can't help myself. Yeah. So I'm with Cruise Control.
Okay, David Stevens.
Extra place, 4 places each way in this one. Look, the first 2 in the market could finish first and second, and we wouldn't be that surprised. King of Rye Hope, this could be another ace bit of target planning from Dan Skelton. And the JP horses, when they're backed, which Brierley is being backed, and I'm hoping the step up in trip actually will help him jump better anyway. They'll just go a yard slower, and that might help him. And then one at a big price, or a bigger price, is Sam Brown. Veteran now, obviously won this race a couple of years ago, but is running really well this season. Has won a couple of veterans chases. Fred Gingell takes off 5, and I thought he could go well again at a course he's done well at. But as I say, it wouldn't surprise anyone if the first 2 in the betting filled the first 2 places.
Okay, and let's close out Grand National Day with a flat race, shall we? A Grade 2 bumper. Mr. Megget 2-1, Ma Shantou is 6-1, Tripoli Flyer 7s, Castle Ivers 8-1, No Questions Asked 17-2, Good and Clever 10-1, 11-1, and Bigger the Rest. And I'll go quickly to a man to my left who 2 days ago thought he loved bumpers, but realised he was right the first time.
I was right. Yeah, I was right the first time. Why on earth I got involved in betting in bumpers and having quite a fair bet as well. So I back ostrich position again, head and stand, don't know, don't care.
Lovely, perfect. Look, you've got to specialise, and quite frankly, I appreciated you mixing it up, but we knew how it was going to end. Tom Segal.
Well, I backed Mr. Megget to win the champion bumper at Cheltenham, and luckily, non-runner, no bet. And luckily, he didn't turn up because he wouldn't have won that. I'm staggered. He's 2-1 to win a bumper of this standard. He looked a really good horse, but he's got a lot to prove. So I thought that was plenty short enough. Tripoli Flyer, I thought was quite interesting for Fergal O'Brien. He got a good record in bumpers, especially around here. But it's not a race, like Keel says, that I've had a great look at. I'm just a little bit surprised he's 2-1. But Mr. Megget is definitely a horse to keep on your right side of. I thought he's been super impressive both times. And the big amazing gamble in the bumper at Cheltenham was a John Joe horse, wasn't it? That went from 40-1 into about 6-1 on the day and just kept shortening. It wasn't like it was some clown like me tipping it up and then they'll lay it back. It kept shortening all day. I can't remember what it was called, Bill Joyce or something like that. And so he must think that Mr. Meggett's pretty good for him to be 2-1 for a market like this, but plenty short enough for me. So I'd be on Tripoli Flyer, I think.
Okay, thank you very much. And again, it worked the other day, but the only horse in here I thought, crikey, that was impressive, was Marchand 2, first start for Emma Lavelle. I don't have any opinion at all in this race, apart from remember seeing it win at Huntingdon and thinking, crikey, that's a nice horse. David Stevens, see us out, will you, my good man?
Yeah, Mr. Meggett, there's plenty of confidence behind this one. I get the feeling that this has been the plan. Obviously, missing Cheltenham to come here would be no surprise to see that one end the meeting on a high for favourite backers. And Tripoli Flyer, don't know if Tom's actually put this one up, but this has been very well backed. Fergal O'Brien got a couple in the race, and this has been the one that punters have come for. Comes off a run on the all-weather, a bumper on the all-weather at Lingfield. Beat a horse of Nicky Henderson, so could be half useful, but Mr. Meggett, I think, will probably win.
Thank you, David Stevens. Here's an ad, and then the naps. Okay, let's get. I'll tell you what, because I know Tom's always tempted to tip in the big race, so let's give him the opportunity to do both. We'll have a nap on National Day and the national winner combined. So Paul Kealy, nap and national winner.
Nap each way, Jaffroy and the first. I think that's going to run a big race at a big price. And well, I'm just hoping for Iron Maximus. But in the paper tomorrow, I've tipped out the work. So what do you want? I want Iron Maximus.
I'll take them all. Tom, nap and national winner.
Strong leader, I like. Just going back to the bumper, one of my eye catches in the trackers column was a horse of Nicky Martin's Got a Dream, who's 50-1. Excuse me. Too much shouting Reading home. It's 50-1 tomorrow, so I thought he might run well. I forgot to mention when we did that. So the nap is strong leader and the national winner's Borat Rambler.
Okay, thank you very much. And I will go. Well, let's go to David Stevens first. David Stevens, nap and national winner.
The nap is West Balboa for the Scoutons, and the national winner is Panda Boy.
Okay, and I'll go nap Jimmy DeSearle, and the national winner is probably Iron Maximus, but I hope Cocoa Beach, and in particular, I want Adamantly Chosen because it's a big price. And I'll be having a bet on him. Right, guys, thanks ever so much for joining us. Thanks to Keels, to Tom, and to David. We're back the next 3 Fridays, I think. We've got all sorts of fun and games going on. You're going to have to get stuck into the Craven next week.
Am I?
Not in this show. I just mean, like, you've got the Craven,
Oh,
and
right,
you've
the
got
Craven,
Scottish National, and it's all over the shop, isn't
Scottish
it?
National, yeah. I'm going to be in Scotland, so I'm going to be Skyping. You're going to be here with the horse's head next week, I'm afraid, mate. Sorry.
Right. Okay. That's a very mafia-esque end to the show, isn't it? But, all right, Tom, maybe you'd like to come in.
I would like to, Ross, but there's absolutely no chance of that.
No, that's fair enough. David, can I tempt you?
I've got some breaking news. Caldwell Potter's a non-runner. And if we know that anyway, so I'm sure any of us tipped him, did we? He was the price boost. It just completes a wonderful week for my price boost, doesn't it?
It does.
It is indeed.
I like the champagne, Mr. Stevens. You've upped your game in the background there.
Yeah, there you go. He's done a bottle
That's
of
ready
rosé.
for Portsmouth. It's ready for Portsmouth winning League One tomorrow.
Okay, fantastic stuff. And may your Grand National horse run a blinder. We'll see you next Friday for the Scottish National. Enjoy Aintree tomorrow. Good night.